Have you ever seen a website where you look at the photos, you instantly think, oh no, they used stock photos? Yeah, right, I have. Today I'm going to show you how to avoid that effect, so how to pick out the right stock photos and also how to import them to your WordPress website. I mean, it's not a shame. Using stock photos is really a game changer. You can save time and energy while searching for photos instead of organizing a photo shoot and photographing everything you need, then forgetting something and re-photographing everything you need. So stock photos can really be a game changer if you use photos on your website. Also, if you write a blog on your website and you regularly need new images, then it's the best way to just use stock photos because otherwise it's just too much work. So stock photos is not something you should be ashamed of, but it's something you should do the right way. So let me give you 3 tips on how to pick out the good stock photos that don't look like stock photos. Tip number 1 is search for uniqueness. The most common drawback for using stock photos is probably that once you look at an image, you instantly realize that's a stock photo. So the photos are not unique. You can instantly recognize that those are just some generic images, and that's an effect you want to avoid. There are some things you can look at where uniqueness really comes into play. So one thing could be that you pick a specific angle that is not looked at very often. So maybe a flat lay instead of a front picture or something like that. The other thing could be lighting, so that you look at the images and you check for the common lighting and then just search for something different. And the last important thing when it comes to uniqueness, it's about styling and clothing. So you may know those business photos that just look instantly cheesy when you add them to your site. So maybe just look at the clothes the people are wearing on your stock photo, look at the styles, the colors that your photos have, and just pick something that's not as common. Uniqueness can really change the way that your website looks and really give it that not stock feeling. Another very important thing is that you don't only look at what you're searching for, but also for the style you're going for. So tip number 2 would be search for consistency throughout your website. So if you have like 5 images on your site, you want them to look similar. Not similar on like the things that they show, but similar in the style. So maybe the colors that you have, maybe some effects that are already added on the stock photos. That's something you should really look at. Most stock providers also add their images into folders. So you could search for images that are in folders or from one shoot, and then you would have some similar images. And just try to use that and not too many different styles and filters and everything. Just search really for that consistency throughout your website. And number 3 is something you probably all know when you search for stock images. Sometimes you get the impression that stock images look dead. So what you really want is authenticity. Search for images that look honest and real, and don't search for the perfect image. So don't search for the images that are overly edited or that just don't look realistic. I'm pretty sure you have seen images like people in a hospital and they're just laughing and it's just not so realistic. So just search for that authenticity. Also, when it comes to business images, it's the exact same thing. Nobody walks around with a heavy smile on their face all the time. They don't shake hands as often as you see it in stock photos. So maybe think of elements on your photo and also styles and the look on your photos that look really authentic. And that will make people think that it's actually your photo and not just some generic stock photo. So now you know what you should look for, but now the question is, where should you look? Let me show you 3 of my favorite stock image providers that I use very often. Number 1 for my purposes is definitely Unsplash. I use Unsplash a lot because I have the feeling that they are very modern in the style of the stock photos. Also, anyone can add images, so there's a great variability of images. I also feel like the images you can get there are not as stocky as other images that you might find on stock websites. One very negative point about Unsplash is that they sometimes retract copyright. So they let photographers delete their images off of Unsplash and add it to another copyright. So maybe a copyright you have to pay for. And then you are not allowed to use that image anymore, even though you got the image before that. So it's really an important thing when you use Unsplash images on your video that you just ensure that they stay on the Unsplash copyright as well. Then another provider I use most often when it comes to paid images is Adobe Stock. I have the impression that photos on Adobe Stock are very professional, and most often they're not as filtered and edited as you get them on other sites. So if you just want clean images and you maybe want to add a filter or a preset on your own, I would definitely go to Adobe Stock. There's also a pretty big database, so you can search for almost anything and find something. The problem is that most of these images are paid, so if you are searching for a free option, Adobe Stock might not be the perfect fit for you. The third stock provider I would definitely tell you to look at is Getty Images. Getty Images is a fully paid service, so there's no free services on there or no free photos. But if you need stock photos from, for example, famous people, Getty Images is the place to go. So if you are ready to pay something and if you need specific people on your images, Getty Images is the place to get them. So we now know how to find good images and where to find them. And now is the question, how do you add it to your WordPress website? The problem with most stock providers is that you have to download all the photos, have to rename them, and then add it to your WordPress website, and they're too big, and then you have to resize, and that's quite a hassle. So you can do that differently, and I'm going to show you how to do it with CI Hub Connector. So here we are inside my dummy website where I'm going to show you how to install and use the CI Hub connector. The CI Hub connector is basically a plugin. You can find it on the WordPress repository. It looks like this. CI Hub is a connector you can use for almost any DAM, PIM, any information system you have for images and also videos and stuff. So the thing I'm going to show you today is how to connect stock systems. So I will show you Unsplash and also Adobe Stock, but it actually works the same for all the stock providers that CI Hub is able to connect to. So I just installed that plugin, and what it adds is it adds a button to your media library. So once you go to your media library and you click Add New, there's the Select Files button that you probably know, and then there's the CI Hub button, and that's the one that does all the magic. So you would first register for CI Hub, or you would log in for CI Hub. It depends if you have an account or if you don't. All right, and I will sign in. So once the login is successful, you can go back to your WordPress website and you will have this window. You have the connections, and I don't have any connections yet. That's what I'm going to show you. So to add a new connection, for example, Unsplash, that's what we're going to do now, we can click on this little plus icon here. So we click here and we click on Unsplash. Then we are just redirected to Unsplash, and here's where we log in with our account. So you need an Unsplash account, but it's not a paid account, so you just get your login directly from Unsplash and then add it right here. So I will continue as Simea, that's fine. And that's already it. So now I have Unsplash inside here. Unsplash shows you your collections and your likes. So once you go to unsplash.com and you search for an image, let's search for a little dog. And we'll take this cutie right here, and I like it. And then it's found here under my likes. It's very fast, as you can see. So then I can add this image. I can use it. Once I click on it, there's this menu down here. And I can click on this little download icon to use the file. So now that's like where the magic happens. I can pick a conversion, so I can pick an image size. And That's for sure something that all of you web guys out there love. And there's two options here. You can use it or you can save it locally. I will just use it in a small size. So I can add it and then it will be imported. And that's basically it. So now when I go to my media library, I have the image there in the right side with the metadata and everything I used before. You can also see that CI Hub adds some of these custom fields, so you can see like username and creation date for this photo, so you have the metadata that you may use one day. It basically works the same way for other services, so you go to Add New, CI Hub, to the connections, and then click the plus. Have to open this right here, click the plus, and then let's just also add Adobe Stock. We'll just make this visible and then add it here. Okay, so it just works the same way. I'm redirected, I log in. That's pretty straightforward. Okay, and once we're done, we are successfully connected. That's as fast as it works in real life. And I can now just here switch to Unsplash or Adobe Stock. And I can directly search for images here, or I can also filter for things. So let's also search for a cute dog. And once we have it, let's pick this one. So we can use that file. It's just the same way that we did it before. There's no conversion for Adobe Stock, but I'm pretty sure you have a plugin for that as well, for resizing your images. And then you can either use it or save it locally and click OK. So once we close it, there's the image library with 2 cute dog images. That's perfect. So as you can see, it's basically not as hard to use stock images as you may think, and it's also very easy to not make your website look like it's full of stock image, even though it is. So I wish you all the best with your stock images. I wish that you may find all the stock images that you need that don't look like stock images, and maybe if you add them with the CI Hub connector, then you're faster and it makes things easier. So if you use the CI Hub connector, add to the comments what you think about it. If you have any feature requests, just type it in the chat below and I'm sure the team of CI Hub will be happy to look into it. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and I will see you next time. Bye.